Now, I think I see Megan who's joined us. Megan.
I'm here. What's up?
Hey, how are you?
I'm awesome. How are you guys?
Good. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I want us to definitely make sure we've got time to give you the floor. Megan, I don't know if you're drinking. Well, you got kids, girl, so this could go either way. If you're drinking wine,
I didn't know this. We could have a drink here. Had I known.
What? I should have. I don't want us to come off the wrong way in the event post.
Listen,
but we don't even talk, girl, without.
Give me 10 seconds because I am not one to miss a part.
Literally,
okay?
Please go for it. Well, and then while she's grabbing a little beverage, does anybody want to do a quick little brief intro to everyone? Just who you are, where you're from, anything you need from the community. I'm a connector. There's other connectors on here. We love to connect and help with each other. Anybody else?
Hey, Jasmine, I would like to.
Hey, Kelly.
Good evening, ladies. My name is Kelly Mumphrey. I'm in mom mode right now, so I'm not all done up. Forgive me.
You're fine. You look cute.
I'm Kelly Mumphrey. I'm the founder and CEO of Milk Space LLC. And so right now, I provide a pop-up lactation space for events. And so right now I have a tent, but I'm working on a mobile milk space that is climate controlled for outdoor events. And right now, I think where I'm stuck at is just getting exposure because I'm just me. I'm just Kelly, a one-woman show. So I've posted some things on LinkedIn as well as my social media. And if you guys could visit Milk Space LLC on LinkedIn, or I'll drop the links here in the chat, but just share. I'm not a native of Texas, but I'm here. My husband's from Dallas, Texas. So I've been here since 2014. And it's been just a struggle, just trying to, say that Texas, I am here, but I'm definitely here and I want to be of service, of providing my business service, as well as lessening breastfeeding disparities in Black women. So I'm here and I'll put everything in the chat. So you can just share. That is all that I'm asking. Yes. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Kelly. And Kelly not only is doing amazing things for mothers, but she also pays it forward. So she's definitely representative of her Texas vibes, where it's if the woman next to me is not moving forward, then I can't either, right? So this is kind of what we talked about. There's 15 million plus of us. Even if y'all, only 1 million of us was not a hot mess, let's say 13 million of that women is just women, they don't like to share or whatever. Even if 1 million of us came together, right, and supported Kelly by either connecting her with events that could be great, liking her page, sending her a positive message. And Kelly has sent me a couple too, and she didn't even know, like literally people rarely do that because I know I definitely look like I've got everything happening. No, there's times when I've been like, I'm ready to leave Texas totally. And then I walk back from the ledge. Or there's times I'm like, I really don't want to work today. We all have those challenges, but if we actually were to come together, what could we actually grow and build together? So even if you send Kelly a note and say, hey, I appreciate what you're doing, that's really effective too. So Kelly, thanks so much. I will connect with you because I have an idea about this. So I'll connect and share it with you this week. Okay, so Megan, I hope you have your beverage now. Okay, you're muted.
I am here. I am ready.
Hey.
All that I need.
Perfect. Well, this is super informal, meaning, first of all, Megan, your story is incredible. And so we would really need like a full day to get into it. So I hope to have you on. We have a show, which is actually going to be a podcast next year. The show is called Built in Texas, where we can dive into deeper. So of course I will be stalking you because we would love to have you on there because I feel like you've got so many nuggets. And I know we just only have so much time, but tonight what I'd love to do is, if you all are, the theme of this event is Ready 2022. And so this year has been, I think, has had amazing moments, but also so many challenging moments. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm hesitant, kind of nervous about next year because it's been a weird time over the last couple of years. I'm very hopeful, optimistic, but also kind of nervous. And so I wanted us to kind of get on here, talk freely about kind of what we're looking for, what we're needing, but also kind of glean from Megan, who's been in business for some time, some of the challenges she's had, what she's overcome, and any advice she has for us, so we can kind of take those into this next year. Megan, I would love for you to share, kind of walk us back to the day that you actually presented at Shark Tank, because I feel like that was probably a chapter. You've had many chapters in your business life, but saying no to all the sharks is a chapter. and it's a badass chapter that I'm dying to know about. So can you walk us back from that moment and then take us today? Like, what's going on with Tippy Toes? What's going on with your life, with the kids, with the hubby? Fill us in.
Okay, I love it. Well, I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you for having me. And I'm happy to be here with my buddy Baylor, which is exciting. And Jasmine, I think this group is phenomenal. To me, like the momentum that comes from groups like this, you cannot duplicate. The power of it is outrageous. And I love that you focus it in on Texas. So I'm all in. I want to support this however I can.
Thank you.
So Tippy Toes, I don't know if everybody knows generally what we do, but just, okay, 30,000 foot view. We are a children's dance company, and we go into daycares and preschools and offer dance classes on site. My sister started it as a sophomore in college in 1999 because she and I wanted to go to a football game, and she got fired from her waitressing job at On the Border. She had a car payment, and my parents were like, you better figure it out because we're not paying for your car. And so she went into a daycare and was like, can I teach dance to your kids? And during the time that she was in college doing it part-time, by the time she graduated, she had a business and was ready to run her business and ready to do that. She's a few years older than I am. So when I came to school, she was doing it, I started doing it, and it just organically grew because we leaned into the things that were natural for us. We weren't business people. We weren't setting out for this big thing, but we did things, which was be with children, selling, or what we were doing, dance. These were all things that were just natural to us. So that's really one of the keys I'm going to talk about here in a little bit, is leaning into who you are and what speaks to you and what you love. Because listen, whatever we're going to do, it's going to take some grinding and grit and time. But if you're pulling on the things that you're already really good at, you're starting on mile like 5, as opposed to like learning everything along the way. So lean into who you are.
Great point, Megan, because I think sometimes it can get overwhelming and intimidating because you'll get on Instagram, be one of those days. I've even had this, and I've been in business for 50 million years. I even get on Instagram, right? I get on Instagram and I'm like, why is everybody else's business popping? Why does it look like everybody's taking trips and wearing caftans? And I'm sitting here with like, my hair is a hot mess, no food in the fridge. And I'm like, why is she what is she doing and I'm not doing, right? So I love that you say that you're not starting at zero. Like there's already stuff that's been happening. So I love that you really confirm that.
Yeah. And you know what, Jasmine, that is also, it's different for everybody. So that's the other leg up we have, is that you're honoring who you are. And that's going to be like nobody else. That's your thumbprint. That's the 1 in a million thing that you have that nobody else has, is all of your journey, all the things that you're good at. Nobody is good at the same exact things you're good at. And so, if you're leaning into those things, that just gives you a leg up right from the get-go. So really, we have now grown our business. We have 35 franchises in the United States. We have an international master franchise in China. So we serve thousands of families all around. We have, obviously all of our franchise owners are women. So they're building their businesses in the different towns and making an impact for kids. It's really children first. It's not competitive. It's 18 months up to the age of 12. So we're really focused on building kids up, their confidence. We want them to enjoy dance, enjoy learning things, enjoy trying things, enjoy being active. All those things are really what drives us. So that's like the 30,000 foot view of what Tippy Toes is. We've been in business for almost 22 years. So we've been at it for a minute.
Wait, but Megan, you look 25, girl. Come on now.
I started when I was 3. You're right.
22 years? Are you serious?
I'm serious. 1999. My sister was a sophomore in college. And so I was a junior in high school when she started it, and it was part-time, and she was going to college classes. She hated school and just wanted to get out of school, but part-time she was doing this and having a ton of success. So we started really young. I wasn't there day one, but I was young. So I'm 38 now. So I've been doing it my whole life, which is interesting, but it's fun too. And also, by the way, I didn't know what I was doing most of the time. I still don't know what I'm doing most of the time, but you have to always be willing to figure it out and be willing to be like, well, I'll show up and we'll figure it out. Because listen, one of our superpowers as women, earmuffs, Baylor, is that we can figure it out. Thank you. We can figure it out. What are we going to not figure it out? Of course, you're going to figure out whatever it is. And you know what? Early on, I used to be afraid to ask questions. Oh my God, we'd have a call with an attorney or an accountant, and they'd say something. I'd be like, I have no idea what that means. And I wouldn't say anything. And then I just spent longer in the dark, as opposed to just being like, what are you talking about? And trust me, there was a time I said, what is a P&L? I was like years into a business. Like, what are you saying? Are you saying P-N-L? Are you saying P and L? I don't know what you're talking about. Like, as a business owner, it's a profit and loss statement. Like, it's a pretty basic thing, but I didn't know it for years, honestly. So anyways, so we have been around for a long time. Ask questions as you go. Ask, nobody knows. Everybody's figuring it out as they go. And that's a really important thing to remember. I think, especially as females, because I think a lot of times we find ourselves in a position where we think we should know. We shouldn't know everything. If you knew everything, then you wouldn't be building something. You would have already, that doesn't make any sense. Nobody knows anything. Everybody is learning it as they go. So you bring yourself to the table and you keep that curiosity, and then amazing things happen.
Wait, so Megan, even J-Lo, she didn't know. I'm just, even J-Lo, Beyonce, you know what I mean? Like, really, literally all of us are still trying to figure it out.
Totally. And you know what happens is, I think back to your point about, like, you hop on Instagram, you hopped on LinkedIn, you hop on someplace and you get like this little bit of something, and you'll hear me talk confidently about plenty of things, but there's like infinite amount of things that I know nothing about, but I'm talking about the things that I know about. And don't forget, people are showing you what they want you to see. They're not showing you the shit. They're showing you the stuff that they're really good at and they feel really good about, including me. I also don't like to feed negativity. So I'm not going on talking about the super hard days just because I don't want that to have any life or any legs, not because I don't have those hard days. Let's get that on the table too. I think some people like to talk about the hardness, and that's okay. And there's a time to do that. And I do that. I just don't put it out in the world, because to me, that's giving it life, and I don't want to do that. But the bad days are there for everybody. The clueless feeling is there for everybody. J-Lo, Beyonce, Sarah Blakely, Kara Golden, all these people that have built huge businesses, they didn't have all the answers. They just figured them out along the way.
You've got an amen in the chat. I know Megan's taking us to church already, you guys. Meg barely started because she's preaching. I totally agree. And sometimes these are things but it's just important for us to keep telling each other, to hear from other women too, because it's this thing we hear, imposter syndrome, and also too, just the challenges of all the stuff we have on our plate. It's just a lot. So I think it's so important to hear from people like you who have, and I said this earlier, I went on live to talk about you coming on. I was like, certifiable badass. And even being a certified badass doesn't mean perfect.
Oh my Lord.
But still you get badasses. If there are no perfect badasses.
If y'all saw, and I will show you the rest of the things that are not on the screen that you can see, you would have no question about where I sit, what I'm doing. All of our squares look pretty good. Who moved 55 things before you hopped on or put a fake screen on? Because I did. This is not what the setup was before I started.
Megan, I told the girl, I put on lipstick and changed. Sorry, Baylor, put your earmuffs on. I put lipstick on and changed the bra for you all. If y'all saw what was happening here about an hour ago, it was nothing nice. So yes, ma'am.
I mean, the fact that you put a bra on, we all know what that means. That is, if you're at home and you don't have to put a bra on and you put the bra on for us.
It's because I love you guys. I really respect you guys. So Megan, so 22 years, it's been your life. You've seen ups and downs. How did the pandemic, I mean, we all were affected, right? But like, you were doing dance classes in person. Like, can you share a little bit about, and not really to focus on the negative, but also just to see how strong we are. And like, we will always come up with a solution.
Yeah, no, and I think it's good to, especially with groups like this, to have these moments to be like, oh, like this was really hard, or what do I do? The pandemic, guys, gutted us. It was awful. Our model is going into schools, preschools, daycares, community centers, YMCAs, and offering dance classes on site. Some of our franchise owners have studios, but you got to be in person. That was all we had. We had no virtual options. So March 2020 hits. And luckily, I'm with my sister randomly. So Sarah is the founder and the CEO of Tippy-Toes. My sister, I'm the COO. We happened to be together for spring break, just like with our family. And it was all of a sudden like, NBA's closing. Man, this might be like a thing. This is going to be a thing. And in that moment, when we heard the NBA was closing, we were oddly sitting at a desk next to each other, which literally we never do. And we looked at each other and it was like, okay, like it was like, this is huge. Like, I get goosebumps when I talk about it, because it was a moment in our business, because it was terrifying. It was honestly like about 18 months of triage for me, because we have franchise owners who's making a livelihood from this. And all of a sudden, basically they had to close everything. That means there's no income. Like, what are we going to do? So we knew in that moment we had to adapt. And that is a crucial, crucial thing to be able to do in business, is to be able to adapt and to evolve your opinion and evolve your ideas. Do not stay like stuck in ideology, or like have certain things that, you know, you are as a person, your values, your core things, those need to stay the same, but everything else needs to be able to to change and to evolve. So in that moment, what we did March, like, what was it, 15th or something like that, 2020, is we took a lot of our training materials. We went into a recording studio, like a video recording studio, about 2 days later, and we started recording intros, like outros, all these things, to then be able to have virtual dance classes available for our entire company. So March 19th, we had everybody being able to switch to go to a virtual dance class option. We had no idea what we were doing. We had never done a virtual option. We'd always wanted to, but we also were sensitive to how that would impact the franchise owners. And we kind of just, we never made that move. We got pushed off the cliff to make that move. And instead of being like, oh, like all those things that we felt, it was like, all right, well, we're either going to die or we're going to do something. And so that was what we did. So we basically were able to push everybody to virtual. All of our customers stayed. We continued to evolve over the course of the pandemic. We ended up adding live classes in. None of this. There was no, like everybody has said, there was no playbook. We had no idea what we're doing. But today, we now have virtual classes still available across the country, in addition now to in-person classes. So the truth is we ended up strengthening ourselves over the course of the pandemic, but it was like baptism by fire. It was hard, it was scary, it was unexpected. We had no blueprint for it, but it was one of those moments where it was like fight or flight, and we were gonna fight. So what we did is we took what we had and we figured out how to kind of like origami it into something that would be great. And it worked. But guys, I mean, it was, I have said this before, I don't think I even felt the pandemic for about 4 or 5 months after, because it was such like dire straits. Like, we had a franchise owner calling from California. She's having a completely different experience than what our franchise owners in Florida are experiencing, or Texas, or whatever. So it was like all these moving parts. But it was a reminder to me, maybe the most proud I've ever been is where we're sitting now, because of what we made it through. If you guys are here on this call right now, you are on the heels of the hardest thing anyone on planet Earth today has faced in business. And you're here leaning into yourself, leaning into whatever you're building, to whatever you believe in. That speaks volumes about what you are capable of, who you are, what you stand for. And that is intangible. And to me, that's all the fierceness you need, because you're going to take that and you can parlay that into anything you dream of, because you're sitting here tonight at this point after the pandemic.
Such a huge point, that are those challenges, those tough times are really actually what really makes us so strong, and really
Totally.
Giving ourselves a little time to breathe, to say we're here, we here. Some of us may be a little tired and maybe a little ragged, but we're here. We're still hopeful and still excited. This doesn't mean it's not hard, but we're still here. Now, I love to talk about the power of saying no. I'm a big, huge fan of this. It's taken me a long time to get to this point in my career, because in the beginning, I've called myself, excuse my language, y'all, business hoe. I was taking anything and everything. Okay. Literally, if it was check, I was taking it, because I was just like, yes, this means I'm a business. Yes, I'm getting it right. And realize my red flags, those projects, the ones that usually gave me red flag turned out to be so expensive for me mentally, financially, legally. So let's talk about the power of saying no, and why it really actually fueled your success.
Because everybody wants a piece of you. And if you aren't the gatekeeper for your time and your talent and your skill, then it'll just get sucked right out of you. I mean, that's it. So it's really like, you have to take care of yourself. And that means saying no to the things you're not into. And by the way, like, learned this after getting run over by a truck 1,000 times. So this isn't like something that I came to like, this is what everybody should do. And it's super easy. I get it's hard, but you have to take care of yourself so you can do the things you're really good at. If you're focusing in on the things that matter most and that you actually can control, then you're not wasting your time on nonsense. You're not wasting your time on things you don't like, not things you're not good at, things that aren't lucrative, things that don't fire you up. Then all that energy you would be putting there, you're just putting into the good stuff. Imagine if your talent and your skill and your energy is only going into the things that you're really, really good at. Like LeBron James doesn't need to work on being a better house painter. He doesn't need to work on that. He doesn't need to work on a lot of things, because if he just focuses all of his energy on the things he's good at, it pays off. So, you know, and for me, I'm like, am I excited about that? Do I want to do that? There's this thing that came up recently, and it was a coaching thing, and it was going to make money. So that was like, okay, check. But I like, for whatever reason, I was like, I don't know, it doesn't feel good. And it was a total gut check thing. It was totally like, I am not excited about that. So I was like, no, I'm not going to do it. It's exactly textbook of what I should say yes to, but I didn't want to, so I didn't do it. So especially as moms, you guys know you're sucked dry, literally, thanks to Kelly. You know, we literally are sucked dry. But like, truly, you have to protect yourself, because that's our job. That's our job, is to protect ourselves. So then we can use our talents to really serve other people and ourselves.
Yeah, no, I think that's such a huge thing. And I think it also comes back to self-confidence and valuing yourself and your time, which sometimes takes us a journey to get there. Tell us about your experiences with Shark Tank, because I know it was some time ago, but I think because you're one of the few that has actually said no, and actually said no to, I know you got multiple. I think Shark Tank has evolved since you've been on there, but it's still really become this thing where a symbol of entrepreneurship and also what's possible for everyone. But we also don't know what happens behind the scenes too on that show. But I'm curious, I see a lot of founders excited to do pitch competitions, to apply for things, and that you can get into the habit of that being a business model for yourself, as opposed to, you know, really focusing on the thing that always pays, which are customers. That's the best investment you can get as a paying customer. But talk about saying no and deciding to, and I don't know if you guys are completely self-funded. You can also tell us how much of that you want to share, but tell us about that journey too, because I think some of us have kind of a fantasy image of what does it look like if I were to go, if someone just wrote me a check today. Now, I will caveat you guys, if Oprah shows up today, I know exactly what I'm doing with the check sheets. I've dreamt about it. I know exactly what I'm wearing. I know exactly what I'm doing with it. And I've talked about this like for the last 5 years. But it's still this fantasy of if someone says, Megan, here's $150,000 or here's $500,000, that life will just change. The business just changed. Everything's fixes. Can you tell us about that journey and what you learned from it and kind of why you decided to go the path you did?
Yeah, absolutely. It was an amazing experience. So we were on season 2. So like the time we went on, there were literally people that I had to explain it wasn't actually like swimming with sharks. Like that's how different it was. Like, it's been amazing how it's grown. But like, there was a time when I was like, I hope it like the season happens, because it wasn't as big of a deal as it is today, which has been amazing. So we went through that whole process. It's a long process. We can kind of talk about it on another day, but basically, you know, we're in front of the sharks and we get an offer. And on camera, we take a deal with Mark Cuban. And we are totally self-funded. We don't have any investors, anything like that. We have been from the start. And so
I might give you a drink, a toast to that, Megan. We underestimate being self-funded, and you've been self-funded for 20. That's incredible. So thank you for that inspiration.
Yeah, absolutely. Back to leaning into what is natural, and crazy things happen when you're doing things that are in your wheelhouse and feel good. You're like aligned and it rolls. So we get a deal with Mark and we're like, this is unbelievable. This is amazing. We're thrilled. And we go back home to well, actually I didn't live in Texas at the time, but we go back and we're working with him. Like, he'll email us back, things like that. We're working through the contract, there were some things in the contract on Shark Tank. We had all the intentions to go through with it, but also you don't have the fine print. You're not looking at a contract. This is a starting point, but also like, we're going to do it. Like there was the expectation we would do it. When it came to the contract, there were some things that felt uncomfortable to us. And the truth is the huge factor was that there was going to be a part of it that our job was going to go from being entrepreneurs to signing franchise contracts. That's all they wanted us to do. So let me backtrack a little bit. We went to Shark Tank because we wanted them to help us make children's dance DVDs. That tells you how long ago it was. But we wanted to have dance in the homes in everybody's house. And we'd done dance classes. We were so good at it. We've got this on lock. We know how to entertain 2 to 12-year-olds, no problem in our sleep. Let's get this on video so everybody can have this experience at home, keep them healthy, keep them moving. This is going to be great. On the fly in Shark Tank, back to being adaptable, they were like, don't talk to us about the DVD. We want to talk about your franchise business. So on the fly in front of the sharks, we're like, okay, let's go. What do you want to talk about? There's a reason to be adaptable. Could you imagine if I was like, I don't want to talk about that. Goodbye. Like that would have not been good. That would have been stupid. You need to be adaptable and move on to whatever, what the moment is calling for. So there we are going through this contract and they're wanting us, Mark was basically, the deal was that we were going to just sign franchise contracts and we could never do anything else. Well, at that point, we'd already written children's albums. We already had this dream of the television show. That wasn't dead. I was my own boss. At this point, I was probably like 25 or 6 or something like that. I loved the flexibility I had. I loved so many things in my life. And all of a sudden it felt like, yes, we were going to get a bunch of money, which was going to be fun and great. But then I would be pulling away so many things that I really valued. And so this is what we did. We stripped everything down. We decided what we care about most in our life. Is it money? Is it flexibility? Is it being entrepreneurial? Is it being with family? Is it making an impact in the community? Whatever it is, we all have our thing. And I really actually highly recommend all of you guys deciding and taking a minute and some inventory to really think about, what do you care about most in your life? What would you never walk away from? Like, what do you value so much that you put it above everything else? Well, for me, the flexibility and the entrepreneurial part of my life at that time, I didn't have kids. That was more important. I felt like the money was going to come. Money is an outcome. Money comes when you're doing things really well. Money comes when you're feeling the flow. Money comes when you're aligned. Money comes when you're doing things you love and that you're good at. It shouldn't be my motivating factor. Money comes and goes. We spend it, we use it, we lose it, we borrow it. Like but it can't be my motivating factor. And so when we stripped it all down, it was like, what do I care about most? And that made the decision really easy because I felt like I was giving up everything I cared about most for something that I think I could have gotten anyways. If I just am a little bit more patient, or if I find a different way to make the money, or if I do, it wasn't sexy. It wasn't as fun. It wasn't as splashy in the moment, but it felt like it was the right thing for us to do. And so that's how we ended up deciding, we told him, thank you so much. This is incredible. But based on this contract this way, and we tried to negotiate and it wasn't happening. We had to walk away. And, that was probably unexpected and everything, but not a day has gone by that I regretted it. Mainly also because what is that going to do for me? Like, I just don't like to live in that space. I don't know what would have happened. Nobody could ever know what would have happened, but I know I've enjoyed every day of my life being myself, and the money comes, so I wasn't willing to be motivated by the money. And that's really how, how we were able to clear-headed walk away and never look back.
I mean, that we could have a whole conversation on, because I think you just dropped so many different nuggets there. And I think it's so important. And also us just taking the time right now for those that are female founders in the call to actually ask yourself, because sometimes in the rat race of just trying to post and then think about business strategies and then think about selling. And as Heather Marie was sharing earlier, she's now exploring her products are on Amazon. That beast of itself. It's like, what do I really care about, right? Because the money seems to always be this challenge here and always there. But if we take that piece out, because the money comes and goes exactly as you said, Megan, right? Mm-hmm. And it is this thing like, it can't just be about that, because it's got to be something, because there's times when you're not going to have any, right? And there's times when you'll have a lot. So like, have you asked yourself, and I also will open up to you guys too. I'm going to ask Megan one more question, then I want to leave it open to you guys if you have questions. Have you thought about what you really care about? And if you haven't, I think tonight's a really great time to do that. And then I want to open up for you all to ask Megan. This is a safe space. There are no dumb questions. As she shared,
Bring it.
we all trying to figure it out, girl. Okay, like literally still trying to figure it out. So there's no questions. And if you've been stuck at something, and or you've been confused, or you need help, this is the biggest thing I can tell you from my experiences too. And it's probably been my biggest challenge. And when I started asking for help is when stuff changed for me. When I stopped trying to suffer and do it all on my own, because nobody's expecting you to be Superwoman or Wonder Woman. So if you guys have questions for Megan or anyone in here, safe space. So I want to just let you guys know that too. Megan, final question I have for you is this self-funded, because I'm obsessed about this, because we live in a state where it can be challenging depending on the type of business you have to get funding. Specifically, our state likes B2B. Specifically, those are the companies that tend to get funded. B2C and female founders still have a challenge. Now, we've got some epic female investors here. I wrote a piece about them last year, and I hope to actually connect them with you guys. They're just doing the work. That's why I don't hear from them, as most women are, right? Even probably Megan too. Baylor told me about Megan, and then I started stalking her before I asked. I started to come on here, but I was like, how come I've never met this woman? Because she's doing the damn thing. She's working. And we have a lot of women like that in the state. And this is kind of why Her Texas is here, because we want to connect you here. This is just too much for you to be trying to figure out. It's 15 million women here. How would you ever find Megan, right? Unless Megan, you connect with her or you found her because she was speaking somewhere. It's just, we've got some incredible women here. But this idea of us having what we need in order to move forward with, there comes a time when you need to accept investment. You need to accept partnership. You need to go out for funding. But I'm curious for you, because you said your journey has been self-funded. Talk to us a little bit about that, because I think that's probably one of the biggest questions that I get asked and in previous events is this idea of being self-funded, because it is really hard in the beginning. If you're still trying to figure out what your business model is, you're still trying to figure out how to make things work. It can get very enticing to start thinking about looking for investment. Can you talk a little bit about your thoughts, perspective, advice for ladies on, and then I'll open up to you guys.
I think it's a great question. And when we talk about later, like asking questions, like for example, the idea of like getting investors and things, I've never done that. I don't know a thing about that. So I would be learning from all of you guys. Like, I don't know a thing about it. I haven't done it. So that'll be a class for me. In our experience, we started so young. We were just like, we were in college, so we were trying to just put it together. Again, we were like the business that we had then doesn't look like what it looks like now. We were printing copies my sister was printing copies at her like dorm hallway to go out to the, to sell. I think something really honestly that has changed is, again, social media. We're seeing all these glitz and glam of how things go, but like that's either way down the road or it's total bullshit, just to be perfectly frank with you. Like, you don't start a business with like parties with champagne and a welcome package. That's not how you start your business. Is it going to make you money? Is it going to gain you customers? No. Do the things and so much of it doesn't cost money if you're really being honest about, and I shouldn't say that. There's plenty of things where you're like, no, you just really need the money. But I think a lot of times the default is you think you have to have you should be 10 years down the road. Well, if you're starting, you shouldn't. You can play small to start, figure out what you need to do, figure out where your really revenue streams are coming in.
It's not going to be sexy either. You're saying either. Like, don't be thinking it's going to be sexy. Yeah.
It's not sexy. It's hustling. It's slinging. I've been at post office till midnight, stamping things, doing things. Like, I've done all the things. I've picked up, kids pee on the floor. I'm the one sitting there peeing on, like, I'm not peeing on the floor. I'm cleaning up their pee. But like, you've done all, like, that is the time when you're building and you figure those things out. But here's the thing is, during that time, you should be finding where the revenue is, finding where your silver, where the silver bullet's going to maybe be for your business. Like, ooh, this is going to be a really sweet spot. I didn't see that coming. But if you're building, there's going to be things you don't know yet. You don't know it yet. So if you can kind of play really, we played it really frugal. We bootstrapped early on, and we did the things that really just mattered the most. We figured out like our website wasn't good for a long time because people didn't really care. The parents, we were already in the classroom, so we didn't have to spend 10 grand on a new website at the time, back when websites mattered even a little bit more than now, because we were in front of the parents. Well, that was just my time and I was already there. So knowing like truly what's going to give you what's gonna result in your business growing, you gaining customers, you growing in the right way is really important. And it's not always the fun part. It's not always the cool part. And it's not always Instagram worthy, but that's the smart way to do it. In my opinion, that's the hustler way to do it. That's the way that if you're going to start a business, do not think about how it's going to feel in 2 years. Think about how you want it to feel in 20 years. Think about how you want it to feel when you pass it on to your kids. Think about how you want it to feel when you sell it. And you're just like, that's what matters. And when you're thinking long term, you're not making dumb short-term decisions. Now listen, getting money short-term in the beginning, it totally depends on the thing. It depends on what you're putting your money into. And so when I say dumb, I think it is dumb to spend money on things that make you look good when you don't know what you're doing yet. That is not a good investment in your money. So that's the thing I would totally avoid, is checking your ego at the door a lot of times and being willing to to kind of grind it out in the beginning. So like I said, because of the experience we've had, I'm ill-equipped to talk about what it is like when you get an investor and those types of things. So I don't know, but I can tell you from my experience, it was years of choosing things that were they were the right business decision, and didn't make me feel cool, but they were the right business decision, and then they continued to pay off. And you do that enough, and all of a sudden you look up and you're generating revenue. And then you're able to pay everything. You're able to do it however you want to. You're able to write an album, or so then we would save our money too. I didn't get a pay raise for decades.
Not decades.
Like I did
not decades.
I did. Yeah, I did not get a pay raise for like 12 years, 13 years. I was making $24,000 for a really long time, and nobody would have ever imagined that. And that's changed, luckily, but it changed later than anybody wants to talk about. Also, I'm not on Instagram being like, I still make, barely livable wage when however many years ago that was. By the way, though, my business is crushing it. So then now I'm in a position that I can do different things, and my salary can be different, and we can invest in different things. That's certain, but it's because I wasn't trying to live this lifestyle and trying to act like I, had it all figured out. I invested in the business. I believed in the business, and I wanted the long game of the business. So that was a really important thing. I think that's helped us along the way.
Huge.
That was a really long answer.
No, huge point. And I think it's what we don't talk about. That this is not something that's overnight. This is not something that is going to be fixed by a post. Social media amplifies what you're working on. It literally, and I always say this too, if I'm selling something, if I'm trying to how many people have I talked to about it? Because sometimes we will spend all the time, the money, and all these other things, as you said, Megan, the stuff that looks good and feels good, not tied to no kind of revenue. And it takes you a while to get to this point. It's like, does this actually figuring out what actually are my revenue points too, right? Like figuring out what it is. Does this actually, yes, it'd be fun. It would be cute. And I miss going to brunch, but will it actually drive? No. Most of the things you're doing, and I venture to say some of the people we've connected with too are not really going to get us to that point of that revenue. And it is not sexy, and it is annoying and uncomfortable, and it's like something you don't even want to talk about, which is why it's important to have other women that are in the same space, because it's like we can drink and complain at the same time with each other. Because this is the thing, if you're building something epic and great, this is not for the faint of heart, which is why in Texas only 1% to 2% of us here that are doing it, because it's not for the faint of heart. So you're very brave to do it, but to know that this thing, you're in it to win it. So I love to open up the floor to anyone that has questions for Megan, any thoughts you want to share to her, anything you'd like to ask her?
Hi, it's Jeremy. Hi, Megan. How are you doing?
Hey, Jeremy. What's up? I'm good. How are you?
Doing well. My name is Jeremy. Actually, Aho. I got married in August, and I needed to change that. I have a wine brand called Jeremy Wine. We are Texas grown, Texas made. So we focus on making 100% Texas wine. Well, this year has been such a crazy year for me. In the fact that I am now on Wednesday, 5 months pregnant, which has been as exciting, but also it was a very huge shocker as a woman who's like, I'm all about the business. I'm all about, making things happen or whatever. I've had to have a harsh stop because I had a really hard first trimester where I literally couldn't work in my business. And I am wondering so the first part is how have you been able to have a family, right? Like raise your kids, have your husband if you're married, and still be able to do business? Because as we know, as entrepreneurs, this is not easy. And if you can't give it 100%, it's just very difficult. So how have you been able to work that? That's the first part.
Great question. And it's important to talk about because I think, we all kind of talk about it a little bit, but a few things is now looking back, what I wish I would have told myself is to enjoy the journey because life is going to go on no matter what. So I've got 3 kids, 3 girls. They are 5, 7, and 9. So enjoy the journey. Yes.
Enjoy the journey. Literally, you can't see it, but the coffee cup.
I love it. I saw it. No, it's so good. I love it. Here's the thing is I remember I was sitting there nursing a baby and I was thinking to myself, I have all these things I want to do, but I could not. I wanted to speak. I wanted to do things like this. I was reading how to get my baby to latch. I didn't have time to do the extra things. I was keeping my head above water, running tippy toes and my family. And I had my sister. And so that was helpful to have a partner. But what I was doing during that time is I was priming myself for the season that would come next. We're all in different seasons of our life. Maybe you are in a season you're taking care of your elderly parents. Maybe you're in a season that you have morning sickness. Maybe you're in the season that you are getting divorced. Whatever season you are in, it will pass. And so making the most of it and not crushing yourself in the meantime is very important. And so I will tell you that I didn't know what I was doing. I was watching a lot of Gary Vee is what I was doing. And I was getting kind of a mindset training, but I was nursing my baby and I was like, someday. And then by the time everybody was at preschool, I was out of the gates. I was ready to go. And so I say that to say, one is don't expect yourself to be able to, juggle 50 balls, look amazing, whatever, do other things. I haven't been in this group long enough to say what I was thinking. Do other things. And
Megan, now, girl, keep it real. I felt what you were about to say, but go ahead.
Make sure you're going to have sex 3 times a day. Make sure you're looking good at picking up your kid at school. Make sure that your business is growing. Make sure that you're being nice to everybody and you're bringing things and you're at the school party and all these things. Are you kidding me? But that's what every one of us thinks we're supposed to do. Seriously? Come on. So for one of my things is just do what you have to do and know that you're giving it your best. And that's enough. Again, if you're at an event like this, you're doing it, you're trying, you're working hard. But as far as tactically, honestly, my work days are long. When my kids were younger, I was working late. I would work until 11 or midnight doing whatever I needed to do. Because full disclosure, I didn't have I've never had help of any sort. Nobody's doing anything at my house other than me. I have an unbelievable husband who's incredibly supportive. That I would say is huge. If you're not married yet, make sure you get somebody that is going to be a partner.
Megan, that's going to be our part 2 when you come back. Okay, we'll talk about that because that's a whole other.
It's a whole different thing, and he is my secret weapon because he's at basketball. He took everybody to go to basketball tonight, so I didn't have people climbing on me during this. With no this is so frustrating. No, I don't carry anything. We are in this together. So that's important. But it's a long day. It's a long day. And you find the way to do the things. Back to my very first point of doing things you love. You won't mind doing it at 11 o'clock at night if you really love it, if you really care about it. And if you don't, to be honest with you, I would think, is this the right place to be? Because if you're going to start a business, you have to be okay doing it at 11 o'clock on your couch. If you're a mom, if you don't have help, that's just part of it. There's just nothing else to do. Balance is not real. You don't just balance it and then it all works out. if you're a female, you're raising kids, you want to run a business, you better like it and you better want to do it 11 o'clock at night on your couch. I don't know what else to say. Like, that's just, you know?
No, that's so helpful. I mean, it just kind of reiterates what I know to be true. But, you know, when you start trying to wrap your brain around being an entrepreneur and mom and, you know, all of these things, and I'm very hard on myself. And I work really hard, and to know that I can't, I won't be able to give up myself. That's a difficult thing. But thank you so much for that. And then the second part, it's about like true mentorship. You didn't really touch on this, so I don't know if you have had any mentors that walk along with you, but I have found in my journey, I know that I can do a lot, but having a really good mentor is so important. And I've been running into not so good ones, like people are, you know, who are not really helpful. They're in it for themselves. And so, you know, where Share Me Wine is we are looking for an infusion of capital. We have, you know, bootstrapped it up until now, but to get to the level of going into grocery stores and things of that nature, we need capital to do so. But a lot of people who are like, oh yeah, I can mentor you. And it kind of looks like, oh, this will work. It's like, you don't know what you're talking about. Have you ever, do you use like a mentor, or has that helped you in any way? Or?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I would say, honestly, for a long time I didn't. And part of that was because I was like, Tippy Toes was in a different, like, it was almost like had to work with my lifestyle, my sister's lifestyle. And so we weren't trying to blow the doors off of anything. We were just like kind of doing it with our family and trying to figure out how to grow this thing over time. And I know that, so, but more recently, we're in a different phase. And honestly, as my kids have gotten older, I'm like ready to go. And so a lot of what I've done is I feel like I mentored person to person, but it's like me studying people's podcasts and books. And like, I swear I've gotten so much out of mentorship from afar. Sarah Blakely, Claude Silver, you know, Gary Vee. I mean, the list goes on. Pre Williams, like there's a lot of people that, whether it's how they've started their business, what they're doing, that have really helped me learn from afar when I can, how I can, as I'm nursing, as I'm on a walk, as I'm have the stroller, like then I get inspired. A lot of it's books. It's a lot of reading books. So that has helped me. But as far as like actually a mentor, I really recently is the first time I've actually worked with somebody, and she came into Tippy Toes really as a whole to help us get to the next level with franchising. And it was pretty impactful for me. A lot of mindset coaching for me that I just had never experienced. And it changed a lot. It changed a lot for me. So, so I found
her, Megan. How did you find her?
LinkedIn. So a friend of a friend of a friend on LinkedIn, it kind of was like one of those things. I knew somebody, he introduced me to somebody, he introduced me to April, and I met April, and this is, you know, she works with companies and helps them. I think she calls herself a business accelerator. She's a company called the Generosity Culture. And for me, it was really, so she would get into our business and there was a lot of business stuff, but it really started with like, we got to talk about you. We got to talk about what, you know, that was really important, and it helped tremendously. So it was LinkedIn, and it was being connected with her. And she interviewed me after the pandemic. Like, how did you guys pivot? Like when all the articles came out of like, how did people pivot? She interviewed me. And then, but I knew her for like a year and a half before the light bulb went on. And I was like, oh, I should work with you. And then it made a big impact. So I would say, Share Me, start like, you know, like dating. Like I would keep going until you find that thing that feels good. And April does like 3 free calls. So that's another thing. I think if someone's like looking for that paycheck right at the gate, you're like, I don't know, it just makes me think like April really wants it to be the right fit. And if somebody's looking to just like hook you into something, you're like, what are you here for? But if they're looking for you to really want to be successful, I think that has a different tone, and you'll feel it right away. So I would lean into things like this. This is huge to have a community like this. You know, I just don't think mentorship always has to look like what we think of. And so for me, it's been books and things like that have really probably catapulted me the most.
Awesome.
I have a question.
Thank you.
Okay, so we've got about 3 minutes before we have to move over. So Holly, if you could keep it quick. And Sheremy, you have one of those superstars like Megan too. Your husband's incredible. So he's a big part of your success too. So I just wanted to share that too for Todd, Team Todd. Holly, quickly, your question for Megan.
I'll just do it really quickly. You have a business that you work with kids, and I have always wanted to do that, but I've been concerned about legal liability. And I was wondering what, just like the 5-minute version of what can you do to protect your personal assets and to run your business right and find the right kind of insurance to do a business where you could have that kind of liability. And I see Kelly's nodding her head, and I think she's right there too.
Yeah, I mean, really, it's, we an insurance policy that helps protect us, and every franchise has their own policy. And I mean, I would say so that is kind of, I mean, literally the insurance policy for us that helps us kind of know that this is a part of it. Of course, everybody signs a waiver when they join. You have all of those traditional things. So nobody comes to a Tippy Toes class like without signing a waiver. And then also, because we are working with kids, the state requires a lot of things, and it's different state to state. So everybody is fingerprinted or background check or all those things you have to do to work in a school. And so that's kind of all a part of it. And then, to be perfectly honest, Holly, there's a part of it that I naturally don't have a lot of fear as far as things like that. In entrepreneurship, I think it served me well to not go too far down that, because I'll tell you, I have, and it's awful because I'm like, oh my God, like it is intense and it's scary and it can be really, and I just don't spend a lot of time in that space because I think, I don't know what the trick is. I guess I just think of like, what are the odds? That probably won't happen. Like, let me just, I just don't really spend a lot of time there. So, but as far as like technically, it's insurance, it's waivers, it's trainings, it's being in line with the state. All of those things are like, that's the best we can do. So we show up in the best way we can, and then we kind of let whatever that, whatever may come from that come. And we've had some things that have been scary and hard, but also then you adapt and you figure out, okay, can we do this better? Can we do this better? And you kind of figure that out over time. That's a good question though.
Thank you. I think you're right on there with the fear. Sorry about my dogs. I just feel like if I had the right professionals, just going back to what Jasmine was saying before and what you were saying before about not being afraid to ask questions and thinking you had to know everything yourself. And I'm a researcher. And so I've been on like LegalZoom and all this stuff and asked my insurance agent, and he's like, never gets back to me on like malpractice or whatever the right thing is. And so just hearing it from you just gives me a different perspective. So thank you. And I'll wrap up so you can move on.
Good. Love that.
And Holly, I think to our point of Heather earlier about us doing, so, with these events next year, they'll still be about networking. And Sheremy, I don't know if you heard this part too, where we're really tailoring these each month. So for the year of 2022 is all about female founders. So it sounds like business growth needs to be a topic, but Holly, we also can dedicate one to legal too. I mean, we've had so many incredible women reach out to say how they can be a part of you all. And to Megan's point, Sheremy, like mentorship is different. And so how can we all help you? How can we support you? I got your back forever and ever, but I'm sure there's women here too that need to know about you and can support you too. Megan, we're out of time. And I could talk to you first of all, I think I have a business crush now. It's going to get weird, but I'm just going to go ahead and keep going.
Well, I think this is a date. There's drinks. So I think this is actually our first date.
I know there's other people here, but I felt like this is a moment. But no, Megan, I think you're an incredible superstar. First of all, and Baylor will tell you, I have an intuition and gut about most things. I feel very blessed that you have joined us here, because I feel like the next 2 or 3 years might be really hard to book you. So I feel like there's something super special about you, not just about the business growth that you've done, but I can feel that you've got a sincere passion and energy for women. And it's something that I'm also passionate about. So anything we can do for you, and I mean this, you can ask the ladies on here, because I will send somebody a text message at 10 o'clock real quick and be like, girl, do you need this? Anything you need, Megan. We are a platform for you, a community for you, got you. I think what you've done is just incredible. And I'm just so proud that you're from here. So, and that you've built your company here. Can you share some final thoughts, final piece of thought, advice, anything that you can share with the ladies? And then of course, I will love to have you back on later next year with our show podcast.
I would love it. I love what you're doing. I think it's so important for there to be communities like this. As much as we'd like to act like everything's just as easy for women as it is for other groups, it's different. It's not the same. There's real power in this. I would say one of the things, specifically speaking to a group of women, my final thought would just be like, own your journey. I've talked about enjoying the journey, but own your journey, because you, like your experience, whether it was whatever it is, has such power if you harness it. And then you're not living your life running away from something, pretending like you're something you're not, fighting against something. Like when you get aligned with who you truly are and you find a way to spend most of your days feeling aligned and doing things that are natural to you and celebrating exactly who you are a gift. You are a gift to the world, and you're here because you've got this tenacity and these dreams, and don't ever let that die. If your business dies, that doesn't mean you die. That means you do something else. That means you move on, whatever that is. Failures come and go. That does not define you. If you can take your wins and your losses in stride, you metabolize a win as a great thing and you move on. It doesn't define you. You metabolize a loss as a learning lesson. You move on. What's going to stop you? If you can take a win and a loss, you learn from it and you move on, there is nothing that can stop you. So I celebrate you guys for doing this. I love that you're doing this. Continue to lean into other people and surround yourself by people that make you feel like, ooh, I got to do more. Because as soon as you start to surround yourself with people that are doing things, all of a sudden you find this momentum in your life, and having momentum is really magical. So thank you for having me. I love this. I love the group, and this was a blast. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Megan. Appreciate you. So excited that we've got this connection now. And before we started networking, you all, I want to invite, we talked about mindset earlier, Sherry, I think you brought that up too. Baylor Barbie is, I would say, a mindset expert, and he is the king of life analogies. I know probably 5 or 6 that drops the bomb. So before we get into networking, and I think Megan set us up with the right foundation as women, as business owners, about of how we should be thinking about ourselves and our business. I wanted us to leave the event and lead into networking with Baylor Barbie, who is an old friend, but also a huge supporter of everything I've ever done, but also of her Texas too, and of women in business. He has no choice to, because we're all alphas at this point. So he just has to get in at this point. He's gotten used to us being very strong personalities. So I knew when he talked about Megan, I was like, oh, cool. She's part of the tribe. Great. Baylor, how are you?
Well, I was good, but I got a bone to pick with you. I got set up for failure having to go after the Megan Riley.
No.
Imagine being an artist and they're like, you get to perform at the Staples Center or Crypto Arena, whatever it is, like with Beyonce, after Beyonce.
I know, she sure did drop it. She did.
But that's how I feel right now. It's like the crowd still cheering from her song. So if you're still smiling from her, I'm going to take that as you like me. I'm cool with that. I can live through vicariously through her victories. I'm 100% fine with that. But
she warmed us up. We all
heated everybody up and caught on fire. So I'm here with but I'll take credit for it.
Okay.
I did have a friend message me, said, man, what an honor it is for you to be able to be welcome at a women's event. And I was thinking about how powerful that is, because I do think that the landscape of society is starting to shift. I, by trade, get to speak for a living. And the one thing that I know for certain is that women in particular apply what they learn. You're not just on this call. And so I commend and applaud you for that. And I want to talk about Megan for a second, why I think it's so powerful. I was so inspired by her. And I'm somebody, it's kind of one of those things like when you do a job, you don't really get inspired by other people that do the same job, because you're like, we basically do the same thing. But Megan doesn't speak from theory. Megan speaks from application, from actually really living it. And I think there's something to be said about this community. I think everybody in here apply something in their life, and you all have a story. Maybe we're not all on Shark Tank. Maybe we all haven't told billionaires, I don't need your money, I'll make my own. But in our own right, we all have that same potential, right? And I want to say that because I think we all, I assume that everybody here is driven. But I would also be willing to assume that not one person in here, myself included, has lived up to their potential. And I'm a kind of person that always ask myself, why am I always chasing my potential? Now, I think that's good, but why can't I catch it, right? And I think the short answer in that is all the lies that we say to ourselves. We lie so much to ourselves. How many times have you lied? Before you heard Megan talk today, how many times have you told yourself, I can't start a business. I can never go international. I don't have what it takes on the legal side. You know, we all have all these reasons why we can't do something. All the lies that we've told ourselves why we won't be impactful at something. And I'm cool with the lie. But if we're going to continue to lie to ourselves, notice those lies end up becoming truths, right? We told ourselves, oh, 2020 is my year. Well, 2021 is my year. Oh, 2020. And we always put it off because we think we need one more piece of the puzzle, right? So if we
I'm feeling triggered. I feel like triggered. It feels like you're talking to me, Bailey. That's exactly what I say. I keep putting things off. You're exactly right.
We put them off because, deep down we think like we believe, we subscribe to the lies. You keep in mind, your mind does not have a sense of humor. Whatever you say to it, it's like, Roger that. You're like, you know what? I'm not as good as that person on Instagram. Roger that. Oh, I'm not as smart as that person. Roger that. I don't have the capacity to lead people. Roger that. So if you're going to lie to yourself, which we've all done, and it's kept us below our potential, why not flip the lie? Why not flip the lie and say, you know what? I'm the best there is. I'm the best speaker. I'm the best business owner. I have the best wine in Texas, right? Even if it's not the truth now, you've known that untruth you told yourself before has become true. So the same thing can happen. Because again, if you say right now, and that's the only business that I've heard, we have the best dance studio, your mind says, Roger that. If you say I have the best one, Roger that. Whatever it is you're doing, your mind literally is going to say, I'm going to make that the reality, whatever it is, right? So we have to get rid of all of these lies we've told ourselves. We talked earlier about, Megan said, we didn't have a playbook for it. I'm going to be honest with you. The playbook was not designed for you to win anyway. Why would we go into 2022 with a playbook that was not designed for you to be successful? And that's just a reality of a situation, right? I think another lie that we've told ourselves is we've started to believe that we have to be Superman, that we have to be Superwoman. And the reality is, we talked about superpower, everybody in here is that superhero. But see, here's the lie. We think that us being Superman or Superwoman is based on the deeds we do. The reason Superman is Superman and Superwoman is Superwoman is not because of what they do, it's because of who they are. It's because the powers they possess. Even if Superman didn't help one person in the world and flew around and dodged bullets and had bullets hit him, he would still be Superman. And I'm saying all that to say this: in order to be successful in 2022 to the level that we want to be successful, we have to start being selfish. Selfish. You hear that word and you automatically cringe. Here's why you cringe, right? First of all, if you've ever been to Florence, Italy, they have a 17-foot statue called the Statue of David by Michelangelo. And I remember when I first saw it, I was like, man, how did he make such an immaculate statue? And they asked Michelangelo, how did you make this 17-foot statue? He said, it was simple. He said, I saw David in the marble and I chipped away until I set it free. You think about your life and career right now, you're a block of marble, you're a block of granite, but you have all these external factors. All these people have told you how you need to be, what the glass ceiling looks like, how fast you can go, how slow or quick you can climb the corporate ladder, what you need to do, how you need to look. Think about everybody or most people that have told you something in your life has done so because it benefits them. When was the last time you looked at it and said, I'm only going to do things that benefit me? Everybody else has been taking advantage of you. Everybody else wants you to believe that you're second fiddle, but you're first fiddle. But you have to believe it. I can sit up here all day and want you to want it, but you have to need it. I like what Megan said earlier. She said, man, people didn't even know I wasn't even making money. Because the reality is people say, you got to find your passion. You got to do it. Even if you didn't get it, weren't making any money off of it, you will be tested to see how bad you really want it, and you won't make any money. I used to overdraft just to go get enough gas in my car to go speak for 4 people. Because I was like, man, that might be the right set of ears and that could change everything, right? But I say that because it comes down to believing so much in yourself. I'm not that smart of a guy. I just look at things that work in life and in society and have worked forever and try to bring those into my life. I study animals a lot. I watch a lot of nature videos. And if the lions being the king of the jungle, do you know why pride really succeeds? It's not the male lion. In fact, Regardless of what the TV shows tell you, the male lion can't hunt because if it's mane, it would be seen. The success of a pride of lions comes down to how fast the two fastest female lions are. You have one to flush the elk or gazelle or whatever out the pocket, and another one, the fastest one in the pride called the gunner, who actually makes the kill. If she doesn't do her job, the entire pride dies. So what do you think would happen if she decided like, well, you know, today I'm just going to sit back with the team. Today I'm just going to sit back and chill. Today I'm going to put everybody else first. The entire pride would die. When I talk about being selfish, I'm not saying be selfish because you don't care about everybody else. What I'm saying is you got to be selfish in 2022 because you do care about other people. I call it the palm tree principle. You think about right now, I'll be honest, most of us are living bonsai type lives, right? What does society say women need to be? You need to be curvy, you need to be cute, you need to look like this. And you go through your life helping this person over here, helping this person over here. And as a result, by the time you get around to doing what you need to do, you're tired. You got nothing in you, right? But you think about how a palm tree is different, right? Bonsai is cute. It sits on your desk. It's a nice little ornament. A palm tree said, look, I'm not worried about what you're doing over here. I'm not worried about what you're doing over here. I'm going one direction and one direction only. I'm putting all my time, all my energy into going vertically as fast as possible, because when I get up above where y'all can see me, above what everybody's at, then I can spread leaves. Then I can spread branches. Think of how much more shade you can provide for so many more people. Think of how many more people you can take care of if you'll focus on putting yourself first, knowing you have the potential and the capacity to rise up. I'll be honest, some people in here, most everybody in here, the one-on-ones that you're doing, helping people, you're hurting the thousands you could be helping. The thousands you could be helping. Now, Megan, I got a chance to speak with her at a recent event. She's talking about things in China and this and that. I'm like, man, I'm trying to get like overseas, but man, that's a whole different level. She's penetrated the hardest market in the history of markets in the world, the most closed off society, because of who she is. But she had to put herself first. She said it came down to those 11 o'clock days. I'm asking you, are you willing to do what it takes because you care about people in order to put yourself first in 2022? I'll be another thing. The only people that will be offended when you start saying, look, I'm not going left, I'm not going right, I'm not dealing with the small fries. I understand that my job is to create the platform for other people. If Megan doesn't do her thing, thousands of people don't have jobs doing their little franchise. It's your responsibility, and if you care about people, to put yourself first. The only people that you're going to offend in 2022 when you put yourself first are people that have been riding your coattails the entire time. People that truly value you. People that truly care about you are going to say, I've been waiting for you to put you first. You've been putting yourself on the back burner your entire life, right in the passenger seat of your own story your entire life. And you know you have a better vision. You know you have better ideas. You know you can execute better. But are you going to put yourself in the driver's seat? It's time for us to, these people that have been riding our coattails, we got to take our jackets off. We got to leave them behind. We owe it to ourselves. And here's how we can go about doing that, right? In society, and again, I know men are a lot of the problem a lot of times. I'm the good one.
Wait, what'd you say, Baylor? You said what? Repeat what you said.
I just looked at my man contract. I can't say that. We're gonna have to strike that out the deal. We're gonna have to take that out the recording. But you're taught to believe that you're a planet revolving around the sun, right? But the sun is either your kids or your husband or your boss, this and that, right? But there was a time when the earth seemed to be the center of the universe. But what I'm saying in 2022, there's a lot of twos in that thing, except for us. We're all number ones next year. But what we have to start doing is tell yourself, wake up every morning and say, I'm the sun. The sun does two things. It says, number one, I'm going to be me regardless. We can diss the sun. We can say it's too hot. We can say it's not warm. It doesn't care. It's going to burn regardless. And in doing so, you're going to spread a light for yourself, and you're going to be a light for other people, right? The moon's only the moon because the sun reflects it. But the beauty of the sun is if you get too close to the sun, it's not afraid to burn your ass up.
Okay. What'd you say, Baylor? Repeat that again.
I said, if you get too close to the sun, it's not afraid to burn your ass up. And that's how we have to treat ourselves in 2022. Say, look, I am now the center of my own solar system. You're going to have to work around me. You're going to have to float around me. I will light you. I will warm you. I will protect you. But if you encroach on my peace, if you encroach and try to beat me, if you try to take from me, I will burn you. But either way, I'm going to be me. You'll get burnt up. I'm still going to shine bright, right? So I say that, and there's three things that I think we can do in order to be more like the sun in our life. First, this idea of motivation, right? Now, I'm not a big fan of motivation. I think it's like Advil. I think you feel good for 4 hours and then life hits. But if you break down the word motivate, you have two words. You have motive and you have ate. Our motive should be want to be our best self in 2022. Or your motives maybe to start that dream business that you've been dreaming about forever, right? The way to make motivation is motivate yourself is that motive. Hey, make that happen. Start that business. Start that franchise. Go after that client. Do the same. When you motivate, you motivate yourself. That's what the sun does. It doesn't need a planet to shine. It's self-sufficient, right? It is what it is. So here's how you do it. I'll close with this. It's three things that you can really do taking into 2022 in order to be more selfish.
First of all, I gotta say too, between Megan and Baylor, first I'm sweating. I don't even know. I'm trying to process all this. And Holly said you need to get on Audible so we can pay you. I have to review your comment. But between Megan and Baylor, like I agree. This is some nuggets. Go ahead, Baylor. Sorry.
Megan has me hype. So the first thing you have, there's three things that you have to have going into 2022. You have your non-negotiables, you have your needs, and you have your aspirations. I'm gonna start with these non-negotiables. The non-negotiables are things from this second forward, not in your 2022 planning, not in your New Year's resolutions.
Wait, Pam said, how is she supposed to sleep tonight?
I'm not sleeping. Megan said we don't. I can't. I'm trying to get me a Baylor Barbie franchise in Shanghai. I don't even do it. I got to get Duolingo and learn Mandarin or something. But
sorry about that. Non-negotiables. Sorry, Baylor.
Non-negotiables. So that thing's from this second forward. Things you absolutely will not tolerate in your life. You won't tolerate disrespect. You won't tolerate me. I don't tolerate people being late to things that would, if you're 5 minutes late to what we're doing, we're not doing anymore because that's my time and I care about me, right? So you got to decide what are the non-negotiables in your life. The sun has a very simple non-negotiable. It's high to say, you come one step closer, Mercury, I'm going to burn you up. It has non-negotiables. You think about palm trees. There's a reason you don't see palm trees in Texas because they say, look, I don't like that soil. I don't like how crazy and bipolar y'all's weather is. I'm not going to grow here. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to be where I want to be. And that's how you have to approach your 2022. You think that a palm tree cares that you don't see them in Nebraska? I don't want to be in Nebraska. Have you ever been to Nebraska? There's nothing in Nebraska. Except for like Warren Buffett, if he's on this call, then no. But what I'm saying is you have to have those non-negotiables in your life. Write them on your board. This is absolutely untolerated. It's things you won't let yourself slip under, and it's things you won't let other people bring to you. I'm very big on my piece. You're not going to stress me out for unnecessary stuff. That is a non-negotiable in my life. Have those non-negotiables. Number two, you have to have those needs. Now, the needs is I look at life like a puzzle. Now, we go through life thinking we need to add all these new pieces and all these other things. But when you buy a puzzle, do you have to buy the puzzle and then go buy more pieces? No, all the pieces are already there. The level you're trying to get to next right now in your life, you have all the pieces. Your job is to arrange the pieces. So when you look at the needs, you have to ask yourself, okay, what are the things? I had the non-negotiables, absolutely have to have this, or we're not even having this discussion. But the needs, okay, what's going to help me get to the next level? Like Megan said, a good example is like, I knew that somebody that had more knowledge of franchises was needed to go to the next level. Keep in mind, it's not a need out of, I don't have enough, which is an inferiority mindset. It's just like, I now know this is the missing cog to take this to the next level. Those are your needs. It's not remember, you're not inferior to nobody for no reason. You can do it yourself. Needs are things that can only elevate you. If it can't elevate you, you don't need it. If it's not elevating you, you definitely don't need it. And finally, those aspirations, those things of like, in a picture perfect world, what does this look like? And the reason that's so important is this: it gets so easy to get in the grind. It gets so easy to get addicted to whatever it takes that sometimes we don't step outside of ourselves and say, okay, but what do I want to be, right? Going back to your mindset, your mind, really, research shows it doesn't have a sense of humor. So whatever you tell it, it says, okay, this is possible. If you say you want to, a year from now, you want to be the #1 wine in the state, then guess what? If you tell yourself that and wake up in the morning, your mind says, okay, I got to make it happen. I don't get a say in this. I got to do whatever that business you want to start. Your mind says, this is what we got to do. Tony Robbins did a study years ago. They said in auxiliary income, meaning money outside of your own job, it is statistically harder to make $10,000 a year than it is to make $100,000 a year. The reason is this: when you tell yourself, I want to make $10,000 off my side hustle, your mind says, okay, I got to limit my capacity to make this hard. Versus if you say, I need to make $100,000, your mind says, cool, we get to use all the tricks and tips and open-mindedness that we have. So a reason, I'll leave with this, that a lot of us are not where we want to be is simply is that we're not letting ourselves use all of our tools. Use your tools in 2022. And here's the number one tool that you have that you might not have realized. And that's this. In the opportunity finding of life, we all want opportunity. We all need opportunity. We all deserve opportunity. But most of us don't realize this fundamental fact. At the end of the day, whatever you're looking for, whatever's behind you, in front of you, you are the opportunity. Nobody can take that from you. It's inside of you. You get to activate it when you want. Quit letting people tell you who you are or what you can be. It's time to show them. It's time to be selfish, not because you don't care, because you do. But you got to put yourself first because you and everybody you love depends on it. Thank y'all.
If I had a mic, I would drop it. I guess I'll drop my pen. Baylor, that was, I'm probably gonna have to process that tonight. That was incredible. I just to repeat, non-negotiables, identify what you need and your aspirations. I think that's such a great way to look at next year, because everyone's like, I want to have an incredible 2022. Okay, how are we going to get there? And how do we make sure we set ourselves up for success? The opportunity, we are the opportunity. I'm dizzy. Me too. It's literally in my head. I feel drunk, like a little drunk. And I haven't had that much wine. That was incredible, Baylor. Okay. So, and I'm going to come back to, I feel drunk too. I love you guys so much.
Like the hangover side, like, yeah, this guy gave me a headache. I don't know. What part of the drunk? I want to be on the up part of the drunk. The morning after part.
Can you share, because now we're going to just break out, just super informal, you guys, so you can kind of, because my goal is for you all to always get some nuggets, but to at least meet one woman from Texas that you can have a connection with. So we'll break out into groups in a little bit. But Baylor, how can we connect with you? I just put in there that you've got a fantastic podcast, and I'll come back to you, Megan, because I forgot to talk about I love the name of your podcast. So Baylor, how can we connect with you? How can we get more of this drunkenness?
Get drunk up now. I have a morning podcast every morning called Shark Theory. It's 10 minutes to get you started on your day, just to help you realize there's always something you can learn in life. There's always perspective. There's always takeaways if you're just present in your own life. So it's Shark Theory on every platform. And then literally every social media, you can see me in Megan Riley's comments. I'm Baylor Barbie. But no, seriously, what keeps me up at night is like, I love this. I genuinely love doing this. So if I can help you in any sort of, like, I don't have all the right answers. I have a lot of wrong ones, but like, I can definitely tell you, like, there's 10 doors. You're like, there's not, I was like, I've gone down 9 of the wrong ones. I can tell you about those, because I don't just want you to succeed. I think we look at success completely wrong. Success is like, what does that even mean? But what I want you to have is a fulfilled life. I want you to wake up in the morning and say, I love what I do. I love the impact that I'm making on the world. And if you're doing that, that's success. But I want to help you get to where you want to get to. So Baylor Barbie on literally every social media. That's BARBEE, not IE like that. Well, $1 billion franchise.
Well, you guys, if you've known me, you know I will always. Baylor has been a huge supporter of mine, but always if there's an opportunity, because I just think he cuts through the BS and gets to it and really makes you think about stuff. So Shark Theory, the podcasts are 10 minutes or 15 minutes, like little bite-sized nuggets, right?
10 minutes, because on the way to work, get your mind right for the day. And I don't want to take too much time, because I value your time. And anything more than that, I even get bored. So try to make it impactful. Life is about effectiveness, not about length. Well,
okay. Okay. Well, I can't get to 10 or 15 minutes. My show is actually 45 minutes. I'm a little chatty Cathy. But Shark Theory for sure, you guys, if you're looking for some nuggets, and feel free to connect with Baylor. He's a resource, huge supporter of women. And Megan, can you tell us a little about your podcast real quick before we kind of wrap up for tonight?
Yeah. So my podcast, Baylor, like, like, it was one of those things where I stopped taking notes because I was like it was too much. Like, it was so good. And the analogies are so good, and the lioness and the palm tree, like, oh, it's so good. And also at the end, when you talk about believing it before, like what you tell yourself, I tell my kids that all the time. They're like, I can't do that. I'm like, no, you don't put that out. And we do that so many times. We do it to ourselves, but we don't want anybody else to do it. Oh, Baylor.
I know.
Yeah. No wonder. And he's also like side, like, did you mention you have like 7 books too? Like,
oh, I didn't even. So we'll send an email tomorrow, you all, because I know some of the ladies had to leave, with all of Megan's info, all of Baylor's info for sure. Because I want to make sure you guys connect, because you may have questions, you may have thought of something that you want to follow them on social. So I'll make sure you guys have everything.
Yeah. This group my podcast called Who Is Your Mama? And I interview the moms of people who have raised really awesome people. So I've interviewed Sarah Blakely's mom, the founder of Spanx, Jay Williams, he's on ESPN all the time, Colin O'Brady, who's got all these world records, Shalene Johnson. So I interview their moms to be like, what did you do? Back to leaning into what's natural to you. Like, I'm raising kids. I want to figure out how to do this right and try to do it well. So I'm going to ask the ones that have done it really well from what I've seen. And so I've got a great mom and I love her, but I'm also like, what else is out there? So right now you actually can't listen to my podcast anywhere, but you will be able to in the new year on all the places you listen to podcasts. But it's called Who Is Your Mama? And I'll just be pumping out those episodes that have been out there, but it's a blast. So, and then I'm Megan L. Riley everywhere. I stick that L in there because there's a lot of Megan Rileys around.
Well, we'll make sure we send everything out. And as soon as your podcast is back live, we got you, Megan. So I love
love it
behind that. So we got you back. So you all, thank you so much for joining us. This has been so great. I've gotten so many nuggets from it. I'm excited to see where we all go for next year. I'm thrilled about really starting this year off fresh with a new perspective. If this was a tough year for you, next year has so much promise and so much possibilities if we really kind of frame it around those 3 points I think that Baylor shared with us. And I think Megan kind of shared with us too, that we've got everything we need to be successful and we just got to grind it out. There's nothing wrong with grinding out. It's sexy on the couch at 11 o'clock at night, y'all. We can get sexy with it. We really can. So I'm going to break us out into groups. You guys will get an email tomorrow with everybody's info and also our next event. So we'd love to see you. Thank you guys for your support of me. If I know you personally, you guys know I've been around for a long time. This is not just a business for me. This is something that's a passion for mine. Very passionate about your success, passionate about you feeling like you have a community. That's something I think about all the time. So reach out to me if you need anything, if you've got ideas, we would love to support what you're doing. So excited about what's next for all of us. So guys, I'm going to break us out into breakout rooms for a couple minutes. Feel free to connect, share a little bit about yourself, get at least one contact, and I will hopefully see you guys soon.